Hello everybody, and welcome back to our official, I suppose technically not official by any means, either way, it's Dark Souls 3 item, NPC, guide, etc. We finished up with the chapel, the Cathedral of the Deep, on the last video, and we are going to start up in Farron Keep today. Farron Keep is the quintessential, it has to be in every single Souls game, Soulsborne FE game. It's a poison swamp. Part of the reason why we invested so many souls into vigor, is because the poison will tick constantly. This entire area, very few spots are free from its grasp. We're gonna start by kind of clearing out this first area. This entire area is quite large. It's just a big old box filled with enemies and items. It's just everything all over the place, essentially. You're gonna find Titanite shards, you're gonna find random items, you're gonna find enemies you don't want to deal with, particularly the Elder Grew. You're gonna find little slugs everywhere. You're gonna find deep parts where you can't actually run through, similar to how the area was back in the Cathedral of the Deep, underneath the giants. You're gonna find dark wraiths, which are probably my second least favorite enemy here, just because they're so goddamn irregular. I'm gonna muscle through it. You can get that whole armor set, but farming this one dark wraith is probably not your best time to do it. There is a section later on close to a bonfire that has two of them that isn't in poison crap, and probably would be better. The sword that they wield actually is one of my friend's favorites, as it actually, because it's so irregular, the moveset is a bit... It's harder to predict. It's not like a standard-ass straight sword. Like, it's got a little bit more nuance to it, a little bit more unexpected movement patterns. So it's a little bit harder to deal with. Backed by that Dark Wraith, we found the Sage's Coal, which is actually quite useful, as it's going to allow us to put Blessed Infusion on our weapons. I haven't decided what weapon I want to put a Blessed Infusion on, because it's going to make the Catacombs quite a bit easier, but I'll deal with that when I get there. I could technically put it on the Astora Straight Sword temporarily. It would definitely decrease its damage overall, but it would also make it so that way I'd be constantly regenerating HP. Long term, I don't think it's a good idea, but short term for the Catacombs, maybe. I also now have the stats required, though, to go and get... If I wanted to, I could go farm for the Lothric Knight Sword, which wouldn't be a terrible decision. With 18 dex and 18 strength, I could actually go and get the shield as well. The problem is I don't have the weight capacity. Something we might be able to help alleviate in this episode, actually. Because this is actually going to encompass all of Farron Keep, and also the area above the Farron Ruins, which if you've played through this area, you know that there is like a mini boss up there that'll drop a soul that'll help, and also a couple more large Titanite. Now, these, I don't know exactly what they are. they're a grue of some sort, but they like to jump, and the jump does a lot of damage, and then they like to do that as well. And if they jump on top of you, they get a damage buff, and it will do more damage, and they typically like to lead right off the grab there with another grab. It's really, really obnoxious, really, really annoying, hard to deal with. The best thing you can do is just kind of dodge that initial grab, and then follow up with more swings. If you have a weapon that is heavy enough, you can probably just stagger them through it. Now, the main gimmick behind this area is there's 3 locations that have these little bowls with fire in them, and you need to extinguish the fire in every single location, or else the door that leads to the boss of the area will not open. So that is why we've extinguished 2/3 of those. And the third one will come in the near future. I'm just going to roll past these guys, they're not worth the time to kill. Unless you are farming the Wolf's Blood Swordgrass for the Covenant here. The Watchdogs of Farron, which is the one that will actually get summoned to Crucifixion Woods to help eliminate people. It's literally there just to get summoned to that particular location. It's one of the 2 reasons why I hate Crucifixion Woods. Over here in this dilapidated tower, you'll find a whole bunch of slugs on the Bone Shard. The Undead Bone Shard's the real reason why we come in there. Before we continue on in the swamp, we're going to make a slight detour to this ladder. We're going to just hack our way through the slugs, and we're going to climb up the ladder. The top of this ladder is the old Wolf Bonfire, which is where we'll get the Watchdogs of Farron Covenant. And also advance Cirrus the Sunless Realm storyline. And while we're up here, get a couple more Titanite for things. There'll be a lizard on the backside over here that you can just kill like we've killed all the others. And it'll drop a Twinkling Titanite. And then right here, it's an invisible wall. It has the Dream Chaser's ashes. And then we have the Bonfire for the old Wolf of Farron, who you can then pray to, get the Legion Etiquette emote, and then also join the Covenant. There's no conflicting storylines with the Covenant, with any of the other NPCs, so you can join that one at your free will. The only Covenant that actually conflicts with NPC storylines is the Rosaria's Covenant. You can actually join every single Covenant in this game, with the exception of Rosaria's, if you want to be able to get through, or without, messing up any NPC quest lines. Now this is the mini boss I was talking about, or back down in the swamp. This guy has a couple of moves to watch out for, but if you've played any of the original Dark Souls games, or the original Dark Souls games, he's gotten a few new moves over the Asylum Demons in the past. He no longer has magic, but he still has his jump. You can actually break his legs. And if you do that, you can then riposte him, but my ability to break his legs as of late has not been super great. But speaking of which, then he just crumples down to the ground. He can still kill you, but you can just run up and stab him in the face, and you'll get a Soul of a Stray Demon. We will be coming back to this location later, much later, as an item will appear here after killing a certain NPC. But the Soul of the Stray Demon actually will help us immensely. It'll be actually just a matter of figuring out which ring to lose, and I think I might lose the Silver Serpent finally. Then again, at the same time, I'm also not using pyromancy, so I might just drop the Ring of the Swamp. Either way, we will continue up over here, drop down the ledges. You can actually see our third fire that we have to light, or put out, I should say. The other two should already be out. And actually, if you look over there, that is where the Crucifixion Woods is, and the Cathedral of the Deep beyond that. We don't need to go back to either one of those locations now, but we will find a shortcut back to one of them in the near future. There's going to be 2 crystal lizards up here. Both should drop large titanite. Which should bring us up to 4 large titanite, which will allow us to get our Restorative Sword to +5. There's also the Lightning Spear, Dragon Crest Shield, and 1 more Crystal Lizard, which will drop a Heavy Gem. Try and kind of cut it off, and then quickly, if you can, eliminate the Screaming Hollow. He's the one that calls everybody to his side. For the sake of completionists, we're just gonna make sure everything else is dead. Like that, we're effectively done with the part of this, or this part of the guide. This is the only two real reasons we come up here for, is the 2 pieces of large titanite, which will help us upgrade our weapon, and the soul of a straight demon, which we will use to alleviate some weight issues. We don't really have any. We don't even need the torch anymore. We're at 60%. The other thing you can transpose, or the 2 things I should say you can transpose from that particular soul, is the Havel Ring and a relatively entertaining pyromancy called Boulder Heave. And it just literally you just kind of throw up a boulder and it hits people and it catches them off guard a lot in PvP. It's kind of fun to use. But the Havel Ring is extremely useful because it's going to make it go from, when we get to the point where we're wearing heavier armor or using heavier weapons, it'll make us go from 60.4% to 53%, and a whole 7% to work with. It adds a good chunk. While we're here as well, we can turn in the Dream Chaser's ashes, and then you can tell her where you found the ash, and this will actually allow us to now buy Titanite shards. So if there's any weapons that you want that aren't at a certain level that you'd actually like them to be at, you can effectively now just buy the Titanite if you need it. And she also sells the Kansas Talisman, the Composite Bow, and I think that's the major ones as well. But while we're here, we may as well. We're going to reinforce the Restorative Straight Sword to +5. We're going to give him the Estus Shard that we found. Give him the coal. And now we have a lot of choices for infusion. Blessed Gem is the one I was talking about, though. It does scale with faith, and it does heal you over time, similarly to the shield that we're using, but it does quite a bit of damage loss. I mean, 70 damage is pretty significant at this point in time, so probably won't do it on that. However, that being said, there's actually doesn't really matter what weapon we put it on per se, but having it on a weapon wouldn't be a terrible decision. So I think I'm going to put it on the Claymore. It's not that big of a damage loss for the Claymore. It's not that great, but seeing as we have a couple extra Titanite shards lying around, we can also upgrade the Claymore to +1. If we wanted to, we could buy all the Titanite that we needed to get that thing to +3, but it's kind of a moot point. As, you know, it's not super necessary. Alright, so everything north of the, up of the Old Wolf of Farron is done, so we're just going to teleport back down to the Keep Ruins Bonfire. And we have a couple of different directions we can go. I think for this particular time, we're going to go to the left. View an item immediately. Down below, more Titanite. That's why I wasn't all that concerned about buying the Titanite, is because we will find more Titanite while we're here. And what area that has movement preventing you from doing things would be complete without a crab? Now, blindly rolling away from him is not the smartest move, as he will do all of his shenanigans. However, the observant people would notice that we have a tree here. And where there is a tree, there's a giant. Although he is taking his sweet time shooting the crab. Every single time that he hits the crab with one of his arrows, it will stagger the crab, which we can then capitalize on if we really, really want to. You have to be pretty close to the tree in order to get him to get hit, though. You could also just let the giant kill him. But with the death of this crab comes the lingering dragon pestering. Useful if you want to have weapon buffs on, or things like spook. Speaking of sorceries, we're actually going to find a couple of scrolls to give to Orbeck, because giving some scrolls to Orbeck is the only way we can keep him around. If we don't give any scrolls to Orbeck, he will actually just leave, and then we can't actually learn sorceries or complete his storyline. Now, rolling through the deep part of this swamp, we'll eventually get to the shallows, into the corner here, where we will find the first of our 2 sorcery scrolls, sitting in the corner next to some mushrooms. And I hate Gru so much. They're just so haphazardly aggressive. This isn't even the worst section where Gru are. And now we get to deal with the big problem. The Elder Gru. Now the Elder Gru hurt a lot. They feel a bit unnecessary, if you ask me my opinion here. Like, it's cool that they exist, because based on one of the items that they drop, they're very potentially like the remnants of the, or like some form of like remnant or descendant of the Stone Guardians from Darkroot. They actually drop the Stone Guardian shield, but every single one of their attacks summons these red skulls, and you kind of have to just avoid their attacks, because if the skulls didn't hurt bad enough, their actual attacks hurt as well, quite a bit. But seeing as we have Pyromancy, we can just I aggroed one of the little ones. There's no particular Elder Gru over here besides the one that we just killed and the next one that we're going to kill. They're actually necessary for item grabbing. all the other Grus that we'll run into, you don't have to fight. If you don't want to collect weapon, or like collect the shields that they drop. These are the only two that actually drop anything. And they just drop Paris's bow, which is actually something that we're going to be using later, quite a bit later, and Paris's hat, which this one should drop. And now, for the sake of completion, you're going to pull the third one. Because E is standing on watch over Poison Gem. They have a move where they'll just two-handedly plant that tree of theirs in the ground. If they do that, back up, because they're about to rip it out of the ground and do a lot of AoE damage. But with that, you never have to kill any more of the Elder Gru, which is honestly lovely, because those enemies, they're easy enough to deal with, but they're just obnoxious enough to the point where I don't want to deal with them. We'll probably end up running into at least one more though, while we're grabbing everything. This will be a Wolf's Night, or a Wolf's Blood Swordgrass. This is what you're going to give to the Old Wolf Covenant. To kind of elaborate on Covenants and their items right now, the ones that we have access to, all of the Covenants will give you an item at 10 offerings, and then one at 30 offerings. And the Wolf Blood Swordgrass you can give, which will give Artorias' shield at 10, and it'll give you the Wolf Ring at 30. Rosaria will give you, I believe, the Obscuring Ring at 10, which makes you invisible up to a distance. Oh, this is an awkward place for you to invade. Yellowfinger Hazel actually is the only... well, I can't say that's true. Yellowfinger Hazel is one of the 2 NPC invasions that can happen in this area. The other one will happen if you're not going for the Lord of Hollows quest line. She actually comes from over there. And she's annoying enough to deal with to the point where it's worth just getting rid of her now. It is a poison swamp though, so she'll have to wade through all of this just to get to us. I wonder actually. I don't know if it'd be a good time to use it, but... nope, never mind. That's unfortunate. I was kind of hoping that she was further along next to that Gru. Using the seed of a giant tree makes it so that way invaders get attacked by the enemies, like that. So it's actually worked her AI a little bit to make sure that is she really using Chameleon here? Is she expecting to get the drop on me? Like, I'm right here. It's the same Yellowfinger Hazel fight as the one we did in Crucifixion Woods. I believe almost all NPC invaders, with the exception of Hodrick, the second time, has 2 Estus Flask, and that's about it. So, actually, we should top off on one of our Estus Flasks now, because whenever you kill an invader, they give you two Estus Flasks. Although I thought it was just 2, not 2 of each type. Apparently, at least with Hazel, it's 2 of each type. I can't say that is certain for all of them, but I know for a fact that they will give you at least 2 Estus Flasks back. Now, there's no way we're going to be able to grab this item without aggroing this enemy, I don't think. Oh, don't let me surprised. I didn't expect that to work. But now, we've collected everything in the swamp from this side of the area. We're going to just keep moving to get to everybody's favorite enemies in Dark Souls. Are you just gonna sit there and camp, I wonder? Please don't. I'd rather not have to fight you. Can I just hug the wall and get past you? Apparently, yes. Cool. Everybody's favorite enemies in Dark Souls. Good old basilisks with their fake eyeballs and their cursing. Now, this is not the worst place for not the worst basilisk encounter that I think we'll come across, but it is worthy of note that they are absolutely annoying. Don't get cursed by them; it will be an instant death. And grab the golden scroll and the other pieces of Dusk's outfit, the antiquated dress, and we're gonna just continue hugging the wall left here. There'll be a couple more basilisks. Oh no. Okay. There's always that moment in your mind where you're just like, did I completely fuck up here? I may have just completely fucked up here. Those items we'll get later. We can't access them from this part of the area. Now around the corner, tucked away, is another soul packet. And there will be more items continuing in the swamp that direction, which we will get to. But first, let's go put out our third fire. At the top, however, is another one of the jumpy grooves. Yeah, the jump does a stupid amount of damage. Every enemy in this area feels like they do so much damage compared to what they should. Homeward Bone would be tempting to use if we weren't almost done with collecting items in the swamp. Put out our third fire, and then roll around the corner here. Grab a rusted gold coin. Now, it's not super prevalent right now because we're not going with the Rosaria's Covenant. But if you go with the Rosaria's Covenant after you defeat Yellowfinger Hazel a second time, next to where we found the Undead Bone Shard in that tower, there will be a summon sign for Yellowfinger Hazel, which will actually lead to, I believe, the proper bow emote. There's like 3 or 4 bows in the Dark Souls game. I typically get it on playthrough 2 if I'm going for like completionist's sake, but this is just a guide to how to get everything through your first playthrough. The Basilisk will occasionally drop Moss Fruit, which increases your resistances to everything, including Curse, which is kind of a nice trade-off. Literally everything. Poison, Toxic, Curse, Bleed, a little bit of everything. Not really necessary to use it, but I figure I typically don't use resistance-based items all that much, so I figured why not use it to show you the effect. Also, probably may have just saved me from curse there, actually. There should only be a couple more basilisks, if that. If you are not going with the Lord of Hollows ending, and you've killed Yol and or Henri, or anybody crucial to that ending, you actually will get invaded over here by the Pale Shade of Londor. Uses dark sorceries and some fist weapons that all cause some bleed. But that should be actually the last of the items in the swamp. So we can actually now go over here, sit at our bonfire, and actually teleport to the keep ruins again. So we've collected all of our we've collected all of our items. We've collected all of our... Yeah, we've collected all the items. We've lit all our flames. Grabbed all the bonfires. Killed all the invaders. Now this door should be open. Which allows us to get out of this accursed hellhole. Up ahead are some of our favorite enemies, some more Corvians, although these ones are significantly more docile than the ones that we fought on the Road of Sacrifices. You can just kind of cleave them down. They all seem to be quite docile for the most part. There is a storyteller on a cliff, which we will go after. Should be the path that takes us up here. We're going to just attack him. He'll probably fall down in the process. He's not going to fall all the way down, but whatever. Now, as we walk around this corner, if you ran up this way and ignored the Corvians, you'd be running face first into a couple of Dark Wraiths, who are having an all-out war with a bunch of crews. We'll get to them in a moment. First, we're going to go this way, however, as here is the Keep Perimeter Bonfire. Now, might be a good time to actually finish up some quest lines. So we're going to kill the Grue on the way back. We'll have another Titanite Lizard to deal with. Same as all of the others, just a little bit tankier. Still staggered after a certain number of attacks that you can then get a counter on and do a lot of damage. And then over here we have Great Magic Weapon, which is the second weapon to upgrade. And then through this door here we have the Black Knight back in Crucifixion Woods. But instead of going back and fighting the Black Knight, we're actually just going to take a little dip to the left here. Grab Atonement, and I believe Homeward Bones? Hollow Gem, that's right. Hollow Gem is very interesting. It increases... it makes the weapon, I believe, scale with both your hollowing and your luck. If not, it's at bare minimum your hollowing, which we have 14 of right now, which we should actually get to 20. But before we do that, we're going to head back to the shrine, and we're going to advance the Lord of Hollows ending. Oh yeah, and since we gave the Dream Chaser's ashes, Cirrus the Sunless Realms will be here. We can actually talk to her, and she'll give us the Darkmoon Loyalty, and will also allow us to proceed to continue with her storyline. If you talk to, or if you join the Fingers of Rosaria,
as I have said,
Covenant, it will actually immediately end her storyline, which in turn ends a lot of storylines. So we don't want to do that.
Goodbye.
We can continue with Orbek's quest line by giving him one of the scrolls. We can give him both, actually. And we can actually then learn some things from him by buying a few specific sorceries. One being Aural Decoy, Spook, Farron Flash Sword, and Pestilent Mist. After we buy these four and talk to him, he will give us the Young Dragon Crest Ring, which is what the Sorcerer starts with. If we talk to him again, he gives us the Silent Ally and the Slumbering Dragon Crest Ring, which will actually give us the ability to walk around without our footsteps making noise. Yeah, you're up to Large Titanite Shard. We're gonna see if we can not infuse, reinforce the Claymore a little bit. Need 3 more. We'll get more Titanite shards in the next area. Gonna spend some souls so we don't lose them. Get to try and get to 25 vigor, which we will get from Yol. Now, the fastest way to get your deaths for your hollowing is Yol, or for your hollowing is for Yol, is at this particular bonfire. You just come in and you fall off the side. And we are going to do this a few more times until we get our. Nope, never mind. That's all we needed. When your icon for your covenant up there in the upper left is kind of like veiny, I guess, for lack of a better word of putting it. That's going to be as far as you need to go for your hollowing. We can then go back to Firelink, get our last level from Yol, and then after that, we will reload Firelink to get introduced to one of the crucial NPCs for the Lord of Hollows questline. And if you want anything from Yol, if you haven't gotten the beacon or you wanted any of the sorceries that he sells, which I think Orbeck will all sell anyways, that was your last opportunity to do so, because when you come back, Yol actually will be dead, and in his place will be Uria. So what we're going to do is we're going to travel back to Firelink, from Firelink, and it'll advance NPC locations, storylines, etc. that are back in this area. We can run off to the left here. Yol's dead. You talk to Uria, and he or she will give you the Dignified Bow, and then also has some items that you can purchase. Oh, I guess you can purchase them from Uria. The Dark Hand is a pretty strong weapon for just punching. It's a bit absurd, but it, 12,000 souls you're paying, what you get for. The Londor Braille Divine Tome we're going to pick up as for 50 souls. It's not that much. The other 2 rings are kind of fun in certain scenarios. One makes you look like a phantom, and one makes you appear a human, even if you get summoned into someone else's game. Now, what we're going to do real quick is we're going to talk to Uria, and she'll actually say that Orbeck's not good, that we should actually kill Orbeck, and we can here if we wanted to. We can kill Orbeck and again give her his ashes, and it'll give us the Morian blade, which is a blade with a bleed on it and also our TSR. But we want to complete Orbeck's storyline, because after we complete Orbeck's storyline, we'll get his ashes anyways. Now, finally, we want to go to the Farron Keep perimeter. So we're going to be picking up 2 more emotes and then completing this area. First of the 2 emotes comes from the Pale Shade of Londor, who actually is using the Morian blade and the Mannequin Claws, which are the fist weapons that cause bleed. But when he comes in, let's just go with they come in, they will give us the dual bow. And then also, because why not, we're going to use the Londor Pale Shade to help us clear out this area ahead. The Dark Wraiths should be coming on the left here. We can just ignore them. Let them engage the Grooves. We don't need to fight them. We're going to run around this corner here. Backstab this Groove. We're going to continue up the way, deal with this Groove. grab the Ember. I think the Londor Pale Shade's going to take things into his own hands. Now, something worthy of note, the entirety of the Crucifixion Woods and the Farron Swamp, you can only have one summon. I don't know why. It might have something to do with the fact of, like, the fact that you're, dealing with, the, Farron, or the, Watchdogs of Farron Covenant. You could use a dried finger to have 2, but having a dried finger also increases the number of NPCs you actually, or not NPCs, the number of actual players that can invade you. Now, because, oh, there's still 2 of them, that's annoying. I don't want to get just absolutely destroyed by these guys. Alright, cool. And the Dark Sword. Another Dark Sword, and another pair of leggings. I don't think there's any other items that the Grus could have dropped. Nope. But they do drop Wolf-Blood Swordglass, and the Dark Wraiths drop Pale Tongues. So if you wanted to do the Covenant advancements without going online, that's how you do it. Now, for the sake of the other emote that we can get here, we're going to send the Pale Shade home with the Black Soul Crystal. And we're going to summon Blackhand Goddard here. And Blackhand Goddard will give us another emote. I think it's called Buy My Weapon, I believe. Buy My Sword, close. And there is also a third summon sign over here for Seers of the Sunless Realms. Now, yeah, why not? We'll have Blackhand help us out. These guys are weak to dark, so we're going to equip a Human Pine Resin. We're going to open this. And now, we fight our first actual Lord of Cinder. They're pretty human-based, so they actually can be parried and staggered and whatnot. They're pretty straightforward, but when you fight the one Abyss Watcher, after you've done a certain chunk of damage to his health, the second one will appear and start aiding the first one. And after you've done a certain number of damage to his health past that, a third one will appear, a red-eyed one, which will actually, as long as you don't hit it, will actually come and help you fight the other 2. See the red one's attacking the other 2. It's cool and all, but we actually just don't want to get in the middle of that trio. Just let them duke it out, see who wins, Battle Royale style. Yeah, cool, they killed the actual boss one. Now when the boss one goes down, it'll get up with a phase 2. Its phase 2 has fire on top of a lot of its abilities. You kind of want to play a little bit more defensively, or if you're playing with other people, you kind of want to kind of take turns backstabbing, because you can backstab this boss. So if you're playing with another person, you can let them backstab, and then you can run up and backstab, and then you can run off and let them backstab, and it'll just go back and forth. A lot of their attacks have 360-degree angle hits, though, or close to it. So you just want to be wary of that fire trail that comes from behind. But you can just, like I said, just take turns staggering and backstabbing and whatnot. The Abyss Watcher fight is a pretty solid fight to begin with for the first Lord of Cinder. It's very reminiscent of a PvP fight. There's actually an ability on all of the Ultra Great Swords, well, not all of them, but a lot of the Ultra Great Swords that we like to call the PvEVP poke. And that is actually part of the reason why I like the Astora Great Sword so much. Because the Astora Great Sword has it as well. If I can remember where, there it is. Where if you two-hand the weapon and you do a heavy swing, it just does a poke, and if you hit the enemy with that, they will get staggered and sent back flying, and you can literally just sit there and poke them, and then when they're getting up, poke them again. It's called the PvEVP poke amongst my friends and I because it's not really great for PvP, but it is great for like the invasions and NPC fights, which is technically versus environment. But that is the first of our Lords of Cinder that have come up. We can go back to Firelink, clean up a bit. So all the items have been gathered, NPCs have been summoned. And next would be the Catacombs of Karthus. But we can get either the Farron Greatsword, which is what the boss is using, or the Wolf's Knight Greatsword, which is Artorias' Greatsword from their souls. Out of these two, I'll actually probably... I would probably be able to use the Wolf Knight Greatsword two-handed more than anything. But, they're both solid weapons, honestly. The Farron Greatsword has some pretty interesting weapon arts. And the Wolf Sword has a pretty awesome weapon art. But I guess I'll just take that one because it's cheaper for now. Now we can actually place the Farron Knights' cinders on their throne, which will actually advance Hawkwood's storyline. I believe we have to actually teleport out and then teleport back in for it to work. But we have 25 vigor to get like 15 endurance and start putting some more points into faith and intelligence. So just to make sure I'm right, we're just gonna teleport back to Firelink, and we're gonna see if Hawkwood has started up. I typically ignore Hawkwood. He's just kind of a background character to me. He very well could actually advance the story.
You can make
yeah.
Item.
Yeah, he'll give you a heavy gem, and eventually, I don't think it's right now. I think it's later. I want to say it's in Lothric Castle. You'll actually see that he leaves his shield behind on the grave out here. Yeah, it's later, but this is the grave he'll leave it on. But basically, that concludes Farron Keep and all of the areas tied to it. Next up will be the good old Catacombs of Karthus. I suppose as a final note, if you want the good ending to Irina's story, don't give her the Deep or Londor, but you can give her the Braille Tome of Karim. You can actually learn miracles from her. Probably should have mentioned that earlier, but there's one other tome that we will get for her later on in the game. You can actually still use the dark tomes on her. It just will have a different outcome to her storyline. It will result in Egon taking her, and you have to beat Egon to get her back. I don't think there's anything else. Actually, let me check arrows. It's just kind of a final cleanup. Could use... Didn't we buy... No, we didn't buy large arrows. I'm just gonna do that quick. But yeah, so that basically concludes that section, more or less. Like, Londor, Pale Shade, advancing that quest line. Ignoring Yellowfinger Hazel's quest line for now. And, yeah, that about sums it up. So when we next continue, we will continue into the Catacombs of Karthus, which will be from here. So thank you all for watching, and we will see you in the next one.